Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today, we're going to be talking about the newest album from Luke Bryan called What Makes You Country. So about a year and a half ago, during my review of Cole Swindell's sophomore album, You Should Be Here, I made the statement that while some might not see it this way, it should be considered as the final bro country album. It was an album of ending, showing new paths going forward, and while there might have been some attempts by some artists to reboot the subgenre, I mostly stand by that assertion. Yes, we will be dealing with Body Like a Back Road in a couple of weeks, but that seems more like the corpse of a genre that's still twitching because we still have no information surrounding if or when Sam Hunt will ever release another album. Now, whatever replaces bro country, that's anybody's guess. Between the neo-traditional sound, the still burning sparks in the indie scene that could spark up any time, or even pop country that you might not like, but on averages is still a bit better than what we were getting 3 or 4 years ago, it's really anybody's game. And thus, I gotta be brutally honest, I kinda feel sorry for Luke Bryan right now. I know I shouldn't. Over the 2010s, he went all in on bro country and made some of the most truly awful music as one of its biggest figureheads, especially when his deep cuts made it plain that he was capable of better. But this is now an artist who is being left behind by the trends. People tend to forget that Luke Bryan is in his 40s, and while his big bet on bro country means he'll be filling stadiums for the rest of his career, artistically, you get the impression that he's got no real idea where to go next. There was a recent profile piece published in the New York Times that discussed Luke Bryan and his career in detail, and while this entire thing was kind of incredibly cringy, what stood out to me the most is how Luke Bryan wanted to get coffee with Sturgill Simpson, and at least until Sturgill provided the full quote in context, he didn't seem to have any interest whatsoever in Luke Bryan or his music. I mean, think about what that means. It might not have been the Kurt Cobain versus Axl Rose beef of modern mainstream country, but it's hard not to see a similar dynamic between the two of them in the industry. But you gotta even wonder with the Luke Bryan industry and machine around him, whether or not he even be allowed to take a real artistic risk, go outside the box. And that is the reason why I didn't just veto this album from my schedule when it was at, and believe me, I was tempted. From the lead-off single, I did not expect a change in the sound or the content whatsoever. But at the same time, Luke Bryan has to be somewhat aware that the ground is slipping away beneath him. And with his label choosing to release this record in December, it might be a sign that he's trying something they don't view as commercially viable to the same extent. Of course, it could also mean that they're just complete garbage or they don't know what the hell they're doing, so alright, what the heck? What'd I find on What Makes You Country? Well, look folks, you might think that after the last 2 Luke Bryan reviews I made that I'm just the wrong guy to cover this guy's material, and it's clear the music matters a lot less in comparison to the stage show, but after entirely too many listens through these 15 songs, I think I get why it's being released in December of 2017. Because while it might be marginally better than Kill the Lights, this is the sort of project that showcases a performer who probably deserves a lot better than what he's getting in terms of songwriting and production at this stage of his career. And without the big singles that made Crash My Party somewhat salvageable, plus this release timing and some rather slapdash promotion, I can see this being forgotten very quickly beyond just its general mediocrity. And believe it or not, there's a part of me that doesn't fully blame Luke Bryan for this, because as I have always stressed, he's a good singer, he's got good vocal tone, he's got real charisma, and with his deeper vocal range and preference for more minor tones, that does tend to stick out from the crowd. But the big problem from Kill the Lights continues here because his team has no idea how to properly blend his voice with the instrumentation that he gets, in terms of matching the mix fidelity or the overall tone. For one, the vocal recording of this is just lousy, just bad audio engineering when his voice peaks in the mix as often as it does, and when he's placed up against Emily Wiseman's very synthetic vocals on Hungover in a Hotel Room or the slightly higher backing vocals of Out of Nowhere Girl, it's legitimately jarring the difference in audio fidelity, especially with his microphone pickup being a little bit worse. But it goes beyond that, because again, just like on Kill the Lights, nobody knows what tones to properly balance Luke Bryan with, and it leads to a record where synthetic beats and trap hi-hats are matched with real drums that always sound muddier than they should, acoustic tones of that pickup as deep as your average Shawn Mendes album, pluckier organic elements that don't sound bad but can feel jarringly out of place whenever some buzzy synthesizer or atmospheric effect is tacked on and then contributes nothing. And you know what? Good luck hearing a bass guitar or any sort of groove on this album. And what's frustrating is that not only is none of this all that new or unexpected, but Luke Bryan's producers are now actively aping what was done better, and I mean better, a couple of years ago, and fumbling it. As much as some of the production choices annoy me on Out of Nowhere Girl, I like the piano progression beneath it. There are decent melodies here, but it's also a brazen ripoff of Dustin Lynch's To the Sky. It's got nowhere near the intensity or crescendo or bombast, or take songs like Bad Lovers or Pick It Up. What the blatant drum machines on the verses add to either of these songs, especially in the latter case was trying to reference Ronnie Millsap, I have no idea. But here's the incredibly exasperating thing. I can't tell at this point whether the producers just don't know what works with his voice, or they're too incompetent or too lazy to care, because midway through this album, it does hit a tone and stride that can kind of work for him. The album's title track, where I do have some issues with how Luke Bryan tries to excuse people calling out his songs as not being country by saying that his upbringing and list-driven grab bag content excuses it, and it doesn't. I mean, the album starts off okay, it's a passable song, and by the time we get back to Most People Are Good, the acoustic guitars are warm and mostly likable. Similar case for the prominent jaunty melody on Sunrise, Sunburn, Sunset. It's dumb summertime bro country, sure, but it's in major keys, there's a good hook, and it's got some warmth to it. And when you follow it 2 songs later with the blatantly neo-traditional Drinkin' Again, especially in the composition there, I didn't mind that song either. Look, I'm not asking Luke Bryan to make smart music. In the piano-driven Land of a Million Songs and celebrating that songwriting process, it's pretty damn good too, and something that Luke Bryan can nail in his sleep. It's one of his better songs, calling back to his older style. And even if I don't really like the content of Like You Say You Do, which is him trying to slide into his friend's relationship which isn't going well, the tone of that song instrumentally, it's pretty good. I mean, nearly all of it's underweight and lacking thicker body in the low end, but it's a step in the right direction. Well, I can probably say the same thing about Hooked on It, but that's more because I just don't really give a damn about fishing in song or concept. But right after that, the final third of this album just takes a nosedive. And while Light 'Em Up might have been the warning shot in its asinine phone drama against trap elements, I've talked about this on Billboard Breakdown, it doesn't prepare you for a song like She's a Hot One, which is trying for grinding, minor key, brand name referencing country rap in its main story, because while she's a mess, she's a hot one. Lovely. And it just gets worse from there. From the blurry mess of tones, sloppy layering, the hi-hats, and the Gucci references on Hungover in a Hotel Room, to the chopped up, buzzy melody jack from Toto's Africa and driving this thing. Hell, you can tell with Win Life he's trying to bring it all home and highlight how love is really all you need no matter what mistakes you make, and yet it's all set up against a beat that sounds like it's cribbed from Hoodie Allen's last album. Why he thought this was a good idea, I have no idea. And do I even need to bring up the lyrics here? While there might not be anything as nakedly stupid as Move on this album, although Light 'Em Up definitely comes close, but the problems here remain consistent from record to record. Songs overwritten with clumsy flows that don't tell any stories, party songs that are consistently set in minor keys, which with this production is nowhere near as edgy as they think it is and don't exactly sound fun, coupled with a few cuts that are a little bit more middle-aged but aren't bringing anything close to real insight to the table. I mean, there's decent sentiments. Most People Are Good is utterly flimsy, but you can tell that Luke Bryan is sincere in selling it, as is the utterly tepid Bad Lovers, or the relationship with his sons on Pick It Up, or even the goofier side of Drinkin' Again. But it doesn't really challenge or stick with me in any way, and I'm not seeing the lightning in a bottle lyrical sentiments that made singles like Play It Again or Drink a Beer actually hold up for him, and with no real ballads or moments of melancholy on this album, that's a problem. I mean, I referenced a New York Times piece on Luke Bryan early on, but there's a quote from his chief songwriter and producer Jeff Stevens that stands out a lot more. How there's nothing wrong with making music with a message, but people love not to think in today's world. And this album's testament to that. And thus, while Luke Bryan avoids the darker, mean-spirited, and considerably less good songs that spoiled Kill the Lights for me, without any real depth in the writing or willingness to go bigger or try something new, it feels very much one-dimensional. And you know what? That's not even always a bad thing. That sort of music can work. It can be effective and fun if the execution is on point. But with every single re-listen and every production flub, I can't say that it is. Yes, there's a few decent deep cuts. Nothing that really rises above decent, but they are good. But the final third of this album soured me on it really hard. And for as many units as Luke Bryan moves, there's no excuse for the production to be this slipshod, amateurish, and cheap sounding. I mean, for me, this is a strong 4 out of 10, and I can't recommend it. Even to Luke Bryan fans, while this is better than Kill the Lights, that album wasn't good either. I don't really see it being as memorable here, even the deep cut high points, gotta be honest. And considering how and when this is being released, I think everybody behind the scenes now knows that too. And for as many stadiums as Luke Bryan can sell out now, the more albums like this that he puts out, the closer I see all that fame hitting an expiration date. sorry. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. Yes, I know, you're probably not all that happy. There's the poll, you can tell me how wrong I am, and if you want to buy the record, links in the description below, but honestly guys, this was not very good. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. If you guys want to support my channel or get involved in my scheduling process, even coming up to the end of the year, it's good going into 2018, link to my Patreon is right over there. The tiers might be changing coming up a little bit soon, but right now, bottom tier, 3 times a week, you guys get to vote on my schedule, and once a week for the higher tier contributors, you guys get to add albums, movies, or even a top 10 list to that schedule. More details right over there, but till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.